Well, a very good morning, everyone. My name is Mahir Madhuk, and I'll be your moderator for today's panel discussion on a topic that has become deeply relevant to our times: the influence of influencers on our current youth. For today's panel discussion on a topic that has become deeply relevant to our times, our daily lives. Influencers now hold considerable sway, particularly over young minds. Today, we'll explore how this phenomenon shapes our youth culture both positively and negatively. And we'll discuss what the future might hold for us. So, we are privileged to have with us a distinguished group of panelists, each bringing unique expertise from academia, industry, and outreach. First, we have Mr. Vinamra Kaushal, Senior Manager of Outreach from Shulini University, who works closely with young people as they navigate their academic journeys. Next is Mr. Abhay Ojha, Additional Director of Admissions and Outreach at OP Jindal University, whose experience spans guiding students through critical decisions about their future. From BITS Pilani University, we are joined by Mr. Deepu Krishna, Head of Admissions and Outreach, who has a lot of insights into how influences may shape students' aspirations. We also have Professor Aarti Nirmal from the Department of English at Banaras Hindu University, whose academic perspective on culture and media will enrich our conversation today. And finally, we welcome Ms. Sumita Wahi, CEO of Sautri Banaras and Sanj by Sanvi, who brings a unique perspective from both the entrepreneurial and media worlds, having worked with influencers and brands alike. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you so much, panelists. So before we begin, I would like to go over the rules. And the number one rule is that there are no rules today. I'm just kidding. Each of you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak, and you're welcome to respond to each other's answers if you wish to once the speaker has finished. So to begin with, I'd like to ask all our panelists a very broad question. In your opinion, what are the most significant ways influencers are shaping youth culture today? Let's start with you, Mr. Kaushal.
So this is a very broad topic, and fortunately or unfortunately, we live in an era where everything is validated through social media today. And any influencer or so-called influencers that we see today, they are a mere representation of what we have become as a society. And there are both sides to this coin, which I'm sure we'll delve into later in this discussion. As far as culture is concerned, I feel that in case we are following the right kind of people, who want to bring a change in society. Like, if I give an example, there are few people who are working very closely with environment and sustainability. And they talk about the techniques, wherein we can restore an art which was lost 50 to 70 years earlier. If I talk about even the textile industry, there are very few people left who are working with old techniques. And if I talk about education also, we have influencers who have become biased about certain set of expertise. So till we are following the right kind of people, our culture will be influenced in a positive manner. That is what I feel. Secondly, there is a lot of introspection and scope for social media influencers. If I talk about, there is a social media consulting which has come up as a career option now, and that is going to take a boon as far as influencers are concerned, because what we promote, if I am having 10,000 followers, and if 1,000 of them are also following me very closely, they'll analyze my behavioral patterns, they'll see my buying choices, and fortunately, unfortunately, they will get influenced by that. So if I want to manipulate the culture of a certain set of individuals, it is very easy for me. So we need to make sure that we are influencing the youth in a manner so that it can be productive for the country as well, for their well-being.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, please. Your take on this.
Hi, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for having us all here. So it's a very broad topic as already specified, but I'll keep it very short and simple. See, essentially in today's world scenario, everybody is on social media, everybody talks about, getting influence and getting motivated from people. And students generally, we derive inspiration from any sort of sources it comes to. Not only in their age, in our age also, we were actually looking for, drawing inspiration from different set of people. There is absolutely no problem with that. Where I find the challenge essentially is, the major challenge lies that in that journey of exploring, innovating, getting motivated from different sources and different kinds of people. We are facing a problem, which is a very, very major problem that I also see in our country that's developing. That's identity crisis. Students have started following other people on like just for the sake of following and for the sake of looking cool and being Gen Z and all of that, and they have stopped abiding by their own principles, stopped they're actually, in a way dominating their own personality. They're actually becoming more regressive to their own thought processes, which is actually creating a very bad psychological impact upon the students these days. Moreover, I see, everybody is unique in their own manner. For drawing inspiration, you can draw inspiration from any XYZ person. But it shouldn't be at the cost of compromising your own skill set. It shouldn't be at the cost of compromising your own caliber. It shouldn't be at the cost of compromising, or compromising on your personality. See, everybody seeing Virat Kohli can be motivated by him, but everybody cannot become a Virat Kohli at the end of the day, right? So drawing inspiration from the right set of people is a very, very important parameter. Second most important thing which I would like to add on onto this topic is that, see, when we talk about two aspects of the coin, that it could be a positive or it could be a negative. I always see the brighter side of the story, and the brighter side always remains to be that anywhere you go in today's world scenario, you have to take it as a source of learning. When we particularly talk about influences, we don't only talk about social media. Today, when we are sitting here, when we are all talking about our universities, we are also influencing them in some or the other manner. The point is very, very simple. When I talk about anything being taken only in the negative sense, it shouldn't be like that. Social media is just one, way in which students are getting influenced. There are multiple other channels. So, there should be proper monitoring of the same. There should be proper guidance being given to them. And second most important thing is, so it was a very interesting discussion I had in the morning with some of the school students in Varanasi. So I just asked them a simple question: how many of you are aware about who is the current Chief Justice of India? And to your surprise, you'd be shocked that many of the students did not know. I asked them who is the Vice President of India, and many of the students did not know. Then I asked them a simple question: do you know who is the current Prime Minister of Italy? And each and every student, even sitting in the crowd right now, might be known. They don't know Giorgia Meloni for the fact that she attended the G20 summit or something like that. They know them through a very funny reel, which is floating in the market and everybody is watching that. So, to gain information, if your observation skills are good, you are getting to know the Prime Minister of a particular country, though it is just a funny reel that you are seeing and through that you are getting to know something. Source of inspiration could be anywhere. Source of learning could be anywhere. You just have to identify what you choose to learn and what you choose to unlearn. That's my point.
Well, that was a very interesting point. Very, very interesting point. Thank you, sir. Sir, please.
Yeah, thanks for thanks for having us here. The topic is very interesting, and I think we are also influencing the crowd here. I don't know how many will get influenced. Now, I've read a lot about this, and I've been following this trend also. If you ask me about influence throughout the history, the first thing which I can remember is, there are two scenes which comes into my mind during my teenage. It was Steve Jobs when he used to come and present his idea about an iPod, and he would just demolish the very fact of a Walkman in front of us. And then there are people who would go ahead and even sell their kidneys to, procure the product. The second was Michael Jackson. I remember the concert he had in Germany where he just pumped out of the screen, and he was there on the stage and he stood there for 2 minutes and the crowd went berserk. Now, what is the psychological impact of such a person on the youth or else even on people who are old enough? So every now and then at my age, I'm meeting some friends who keep telling me that my dad keeps sending me videos of how old age is affecting and how parents are not taking care of their children. So it is affecting them also. So it's not like we can just brandish the youth and say only they are getting affected. So if you read a bit deeper, you would understand that everything has its own market or else its own target. So if I ask these guys who influenced you, each person may have a different set of a person. Some may say a person like Elvish, some may say Narendra Modi, some may say Salman Khan, but there might be some who may name an author also, Like Chetan Bhagat used to be a big time influencer sometime. So India and the access to internet has made an impact in us geographically as well as age wise also, where influencing is not just a subject matter of one thing, it is a broad category. Like the first speaker said, it's a very broad category and it has to be studied in a way where I'm also compelled to go back and think about what was Cambridge Analytica doing to us when the elections were happening. They were stupid enough to come and tell that, okay, we have all your data. We have broken you down into simple data and we are able to even do what is called as data driven behavior change. That they can even impact the behavior change of each kid sitting here. They can impact the behavior of a set of people to go against their government. What happened in Bangladesh recently? So that's something which is a very dangerous aspect of it, unless and until agencies like Google, Meta, they come together and they do something about it and they use it productively, like Abhay said. It has to be monitored because anything like, in law we say absolute power corrupts absolutely. So like I said, if we use it productively, it would be better. But the problem is we are using it destructively. And we have to study the gullible children here, that what is influencing them. A kind of a censorship, I don't mind it because we all belong to the age where censorship was there. Our parents used to censor us and they used to tell us what is good and what is bad. And that is how we got to decide. And I'm not demeaning them, but yeah, our generation was a bit strong, mentally at least. We could hold pressure more better than how these people today, I could say, because I'm handling a lot of students who are facing anxiety, depression, there are so many things. And these influences and the social pressure is also something which is contributing to it. So that is something which I see. But I do get at times very happy looking at it that some students and some kids are making a career out of it. But how long lived is this is a question right now. Because now, due to the access of internet, these kids and us also know that even if Alia Bhatt is promoting Oppo, we can see her that she's using an iPhone, right? So is that really an influence is a question.
Thank you, sir. Interesting one. Aarti ma'am.
Thank you very much. At first, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be here, part of this discussion. And the topic indeed is not just interesting but very relevant or important in today's context. I believe that there has always been, these influencers have always been in the society. Only thing is that today we are still so much exposed to the world of internet and web, social media, that the moment we refer to the word influencer, we start thinking from that perspective. And I believe that the topic also is decided in view of the social media or digital influencers that we have today. Our leaders can be influencers, so-called celebrities, actors, sports person, anybody. But particularly when this intervention of media, social media takes place, things become quite vulnerable and more acute to be talked about in this context. No doubt, like other creative platforms and mediums which educate as well as entertain us, social media also does, and these influencers are educating us and at the same time entertaining us as well, and in a very constant manner. But the problem is that since there is a lack of content control, there is immense lack of content control. Why are we talking about its influence on youth only? I think we should at first talk about the influence of these influencers on kids, children. At a very young age, we see mobile phone in everybody's hand, and the children whose mind is like a tabula rasa were so young, so malleable to be molded in any direction. They are the first beneficiaries as well as the victims of this influence that we are talking about. No doubt, in order to be an influencer, you have to be creative, you have to be innovative, you have to be updated, you have to be articulate, and you have to keep yourself in track with what the market demands. Because see, we cannot deny from the fact that the consumeristic forces and the capitalist forces are always at the backside of it to control these things. So there are various advantages and disadvantages. The problem is that when we are dealing with the young minds, then we have to be very cautious about the kind of negative influences these influencers are casting upon their mind. Psychological discomfort, mental derailment, lack of concentration. We boast of having the greatest number of youth in India as compared to other nations of the world. But unfortunately, a large part of our youth is busy with the mobile phones and mostly wasting their time and energy. Maybe I'm generalizing, kindly excuse me for that. But the amount of time which we are spending in social media mostly is not giving them that kind of result, positive things that they should receive. Apart from that, very recently, if you go through the newspapers, you come across a kind of phrase which is called digital arrest. And various cases are emerging where who are the victims, not youth merely, but the adults and the grown-ups are there. So this signals how volatile, how dangerous it could be if it is not controlled. See, if electricity can help us light these bulbs, it can lead to electric shock and death also. So resources are always good. It all depends on how wisely we use it. So content control is very important. Digital literacy is very important. The child is using the phone. I was really surprised to see that even on Facebook, a lot of porn contents are nowadays being displayed. The child is watching cartoon, but in the cartoon, the advertisements which come in between, that has a lot of adult content. So, and it's not possible for parents or guardians to sit all the time and supervise, what they are watching and what they are not. So sometimes we allow them to read their study, do their study, education related works. But in the meantime, the advertisements which pop up and we links them to something else beyond what was desired, that is very difficult to control. In our critical literary theory, we refer to a term called panopticon. The big boss is watching us. So if you are surfing on plant seeds today on Facebook, it continuously such sites which are related to plant seeds and plant and nursing and plantation gardening, they start coming up. Because there is somebody who is watching you. You are surfing to Google engine, but they are keeping the record. So the third party which is participating, very serious, very important participant in that has to be checked. So influencers are important, they are doing very good work. The most important thing that I have noticed, particularly during this COVID phase, it has proved really interesting and helpful to those who belong to poor economic background. To their content creation and the way they have emerged as influencers over this period of time. It has really been a great economic support to them. It has helped women to come despite being in the house and then
Make
getting
an earning.
empowered by ensuring a source of earning for themselves. So they are definitely it's quite useful, but at the same time, there are also some people who are selling their personal life and they are also claiming themselves to be influential. So it is very important that people who are real, genuine influencers and who are actually spoilers rather than being influencers in the name of influencing. So I think other things can be discussed in the course of discussion. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the insight. Ms. Vahi, please.
Thank you for having me, first of all. When we talk about social media and influence, I feel I come from a generation that has seen that transition very closely. We have been on our screens 24 into 7 at times, and like ma'am said, somebody is watching you. And that is genuinely true. You search you search for a holiday. You just randomly search that, oh, I want to go to this place. Every day for like a week, they will keep showing you advertisements of that particular place, the hotels there, what is the activity that you can do. I feel in today's world, moderation is genuinely very important. You have to know where to draw the line. Everything is available for you, but how do you use it is on you. The influencers are making the world a very smaller place. It has a lot of global influence. But then what is happening is that you're losing the essence of your own culture and you're participating in something which you feel is very trendy. Or you want to go ahead with that because that gives you a social acclamation as well. For example, this restaurant, I don't know if you've heard, this restaurant that belongs to Shilpa Shetty called the Bastion. So the opening of that restaurant had like these massive lines every day outside of it. Why? Not because people wanted to taste the food or feel the ambience, because it was the most trending thing online. If you were there, you were cool. If you were not, then you are not acclaimed socially. So I feel social media has a lot of coming from a business background. Social media for me is a lot of help. I am able to reach customers sitting far beyond and wide and able to sell them. So for me, it's a boon. But when I see that it's so hard for people to control their access over social media. There are 10 people selling online, for example, handloom saris. How do you know which is genuine? How do you know the authenticity of the product? So I feel the importance of authenticity also for the media is very important. The media needs to help us understand what is authentic and what is not, because everything is out there. How do you monitor the information that is there? How do you control of what is being, like ma'am said, like children are getting influenced. There is everything that is now a parent cannot technically sit with you and monitor what you're watching or you're not. That is actually the help of that can only be done by people who are behind on the back end, that this content is only for so and so age group, not for people coming from all walks of life. So I mean, social media is a very good platform for all of us. It has brought us closer as a community. It has given us a lot of information about the world that we did not have earlier, exposure of a lot of cultures, authenticities, people. But then it has also given us something, it has given us a free hand. People are going berserk over the information they have. They are misusing it. They're getting pressurized by the influencers. They don't know what is happening behind. I am giving them a sari, it's a barter. They take it from me, they post a picture and it's done. But what you see online is, oh, she's wearing a new sari every day. No, she's not. We are giving it to her like an advertisement and maybe she's giving it back to us. You're just seeing the fancy. You're not seeing what is going at the back end and getting influenced, getting pressurized to own so many commodities because that is cool. This brand is nice. I need to buy it. The pressure is on yourself, your parents, maybe your spouses as well. So I feel that needs to stop, and that will only stop on a very personal level, where you have to understand, okay, now this is affecting me in an adverse manner. This is not giving me anything constructive. Now this is making me become a part of the horde and, walking with the trend, which is not, the trend will die in a year. But the impact that the trend caused in you is going to last you a lifetime. So I feel social media is a very good platform for all of us, but the control has to come from within.
Thank you so much. So basically the key takeaway is that social media is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Of course. So for the next set of questions, I request you all to please answer these questions in a few seconds. So for the first question, Mr. Kaushal, given your experience in outreach at Shulini University, how do you see influencers playing a role in shaping the educational choices and priorities of young people today? Are influencers becoming a factor in students' decision on career paths?
Yes, partially, because influencers today pick and choose the sponsors that they want, and because we have a society wherein youth are following them blindly now, to a certain extent. So where it becomes challenging is that as I was exploring this topic, one of very interesting quote that I came through was that today's youth needs more data than ATA. So unfortunately, we live in that generation. As far as educational purposes are concerned, there are few influencers who are doing excellent work in making sure that right set of universities, right set of career options. Yes, I would not want to name any of the influencers because there is some hidden agenda behind each one of them. But still, even Sir mentioned one of very big superstars of Indian cricket. It becomes challenging for universities, which are small in size. When he puts out a tweet praising a university and saying there should be 10 more like this, although it is a sponsored content, that might not be his actual intention. But unfortunately, drawing the line when money is involved becomes very challenging. So even if I talk about Sandeep Maheshwari, if you look at his content, he is motivating people. There are a lot of good aspects to his content. There are career gurus, who are giving information about what is relevant. So if I talk about an influencer who talks about only data analytics and what are the career options behind that, even Khan sir for that instant. But the challenge lies in our cookies, because as ma'am rightly pointed, whatever you are searching will come as an advertisement to you, and you don't have the option to skip it now. The main drawback, or the concern that I have for social media is that there is no product. We are the product, and we are. There is a recent study in US that suggests that youth over 18 are spending roughly 8.3 hours scrolling their screens today, and the negative effect that it has caused it that people are getting mentally sick, so they cannot concentrate for more than 15 seconds even in their real lives, because that they've crossed that bridge where they can differentiate whether the digital life is their personal life or their personal life is not attached with their digital life. So as far as educational aspects is concerned, we can always look for people who are in it without any ulterior purposes. So there are few people who will not have their data or their content monetized. So that is one key parameter which differentiates. But then again, there is a very thin line between data monetization, because if they are not monetizing whatever they are uploading, they might be getting the information out of use by some other means. So they might give you a link to fill in the form about the kind of institutes that you want to choose. So that is one key aspect. Other than that, I think we can always rely on the government sources, because our government also does excellent work. They have given out handouts about what you need to look in every institution before you apply. There are a lot of universities, including on the panel, that do excellent work when it comes to taking the exposure internationally. So some of our universities which are present, they make sure that these children are getting exposure internationally as well. So I think we can always rely on reliable data sources that are government approved, and we can maximize our efficiency by making sure that we are only looking at the terms which are actually critical to our career, rather than just going through the stuff. Be specific in the kind of skill set that we want to acquire. Otherwise, what happens is influencers can any day, I don't know if you're aware, but there was a concert in Noida that happened, wherein a group of comedians had organized it, and there was no motive. The only thing was people shouted "Pyar ek dhokha hai." So that is the negative influence that people we follow can have on you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your take on this?
So see, sometimes I also feel that whenever even I'm scrolling the internet or I'm actually surfing the internet, it's important for educational institutions to advertise, because every information cannot be within the ambit of the walls of the school.
Yes.
And even their limitations are too many. When I was in my school, these kind of events barely happened. Now at least people are taking the initiative of organizing such events, where there are career fairs, where are 20, 30 universities are even traveling. And the institutions have also become all the more modern, where they're sending their big staff, they have people who can go, who can guide the students. So as far as my understanding goes, advertisements of the universities and all of them, right, they're not negative, they're majorly meant for informational purposes. It's for you to pick and choose, right? I just see an advertisement of a university, I just see a brochure of a university, I'm not going to jump on the university and take an admission. For that, there is a culture and there is a basic due diligence which should be imbibed, on a non-online platform basis, whereby, the process of selecting a particular college and educational institution should be very clear, and should be very clear in the minds of the students, right? Any university, generally would promote itself by telling that we offer great placements, we are this rank, we are that rank. Do we have a standard ranking system in India? That's the first question that you should ask yourself. Second most important thing, are you actually going to an institution merely for the sake of placements, right? And are you certain that whether you go, how many students are actually getting placed? They're highlighting the weak points, they're highlighting the pain points where where it actually attracts. Because the world has become so competitive that at the age of 21 you have to get settled, you have to buy a car for yourself, and then you have to post it on the internet that wow, I'm now settled in my life. So everything is like that. At my point of time, things were very different. My father wanted me to study a little more. And even when I joined my first job, he told me, he said, don't you think you can explore even a PhD right now? So I said, I think I've done enough. But the situations have changed drastically. Now the situation is that how do you improve these things? The parameters should be absolutely clear amongst the minds of the students and even the faculty members, even at the school level. Should be the ideal assessment criteria? You should not be influenced by rankings, you should not be influenced by placement, you should not be influenced by student story that I have studied from this institution and I'm making 25 lakh rupees. That's one student. What are the other 1200 doing? That's a question that you should be asking. So parameters should be very clear. Any institution that is formulated, any career that you're choosing, first and foremost criteria should be faculty members. You choose an institution not for anything else but for the excellent faculty members they're providing you. At a point of time, we have international students coming to India to study. When we have universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, Vallabhi, Vikramshila, and today we have our students, dying to go abroad, to go to Harvard, Oxford, Columbia, Cambridge, Cornell, all these places. So essentially, what constitutes these great institutions is faculty members. Second most important criteria is interdisciplinary education, which no advertisement talks about today, right? Even if I'm a science graduate, I'm studying in a university which is providing me science-related courses. Is the university also providing me a blend of ECO, languages and literature, arts and architecture, anything of that sort, which enhances my skill set? Because it's not just about rote learning, it's about how much you are able to expand your knowledge base. What are you trying to go and what are you trying to do different? So this is the second most important aspect. Third most important aspect should be, which the student should look at it, is which obviously nobody promotes, is obviously internationalization of education. Whether the universities, whether the colleges, whether places that they're going to is providing you international exposure or not. Do they have international collaborations? Are they providing you inward mobility programs? Are they providing you faculty exchanges? Because everybody cannot afford going to international institutions. But if the international institution can give you some sort of exposure in the institution that you are in, then in that case, at the same cost, you're getting great exposure. You're getting people from abroad coming and taking guest lectures or things like that. These are not promoted on social media. And fourth, and another very, very important aspect, which I believe all of us will agree, is industry-related training. We're talking about jobs, we are all talking about placements, we are talking about companies that come in for placement. We don't talk about another very important aspect, because a student has spent 3, 4, 5 years in a particular course in a particular college. Is the college even taking the initiative of providing you internships on a regular basis? Are they giving you decent industry exposure? Because 90% of the internships, they leads into a pre-placement offer for the students. And most of the students these days who are studying in top-notch colleges and universities, they struggle to find that. They'll come back home, pester their parents, ask this uncle to get me an internship, ask that uncle to get me an internship, and things like that. So, everybody, information access is very easy, but are we actually looking at the right set of information or not? And it's not just a mistake on the part of the students, it's our mistake also. We are actually promoting, we are actually pitching them those things which actually, are looking very, very fancy, and they're looking for that. We know the pain points of the students and parents. Somebody who's investing 40, 50 lakh rupees for higher education would obviously want a job. So that is what we're advertising on. But technically, these clearances, these authentications should come at a very basic level, at a non-online level. Otherwise, promotions will keep on happening. Students will keep on falling prey to false promises and gimmicks, and we will not be able to do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for an amazing answer.
So your question was, how much are we relying on influencers?
Yes, sir. The question that I have for you is that how do you think influencers are impacting the way you define success nowadays?
So we belong somehow, we belong in a very envious position where we are just looking for law students, and again the legacy of Mitch Pilani helps us a lot. So for the past 2.5 years of our existence, what we have done is, we have not really made an effort to influence kids, to be very frank. What we have rather done is, we have gone and influenced students from our side by telling them that who should take up law. Because I don't want law to become another engineering. we all know what happened to engineering, because the moment a child was born, everyone started labeling the child to be an engineer, right? I belong to one such family who fought the system and then took up law. So we never really made that effort, but we were very clear in the mind that any student who is willing to put his 5 years of life, money, and also his parents' dreams, should have some basic idea about what do we do in law school, how law is taught. Now there are lots of influencers, handling in this market, who give false information, like they said, because they're getting paid, so obviously they will say. So we're very clear that we'll keep a distance from them. And in the very first year, our strategy was very clear that go and tell students that what are the basic essentials to do law. One of which is they should have a very critical bent of mind, right? Second is they have good comprehension abilities. Third is there should be clarity of thought. Now, this is something which we went and we influenced students. And we were very clear that in the very first batch, we are going to get these students. And then the next stage, which is right now, is our own kids are becoming influencers. So what we are doing is whatever is happening inside the campus, we are asking them to go ahead and speak. So we have created our own podcast studio. We have created our own studio inside the campus. We let them use it. The content obviously is censored, but we are letting them talk to the kids. And that's there on our YouTube, that's there on our Instagram, and anyone from the industry who comes, we keep inviting them to come and deliver lectures. We ask our students to sit with them in the podcast studio and do the beer bicep kind of question answer. Where this is something which is working in our favor, because the very first idea which we had in our mind is a good student, because we were not in the number game, a good student will research, and that is the first thing that you need to do for law. You should be good in your research. He should put down his head and say, okay, let me research and find out. Let me go to the campus and find out. Let me meet the faculties and find out. So like Abhay pointed out very correctly, faculties are very important in professional courses, be it medical or law. So we have asked our faculties to take lectures on some very interesting topics like right to privacy, right to die, sports law, etc. And we have put them on YouTube. So our idea is, rather than getting influenced by someone, the student should do his own backup research, go to the internet, use it, come to our websites, come to our Instagram page, come to our YouTube lectures, hear them, and we need only those serious students. Like I said, we are in that envious position where we can pick and choose. So we are not honey picking, but yes, we have an interaction round also in the admissions where we sit with the kid for around an hour and we ask, we don't play KBC with the kid, rather we give them one word and we ask them to speak on it, and then we check these things. Because like I said, law is very emotionally consuming course, not many people survive it. He will also agree, we were just speaking about it, that the 5 year literally changes you. And then it has some basic things which the kids should have. Thanks to all influencers like Harvey Specter and all that they see on screen, they're already influenced. But that is not what law is all about. Law in 5 years has a lot of ups and downs, which the kid should be mentally prepared, and then he should have those necessary skills, which we are testing. So our reliance on influencers is less, but we were very glad that some influencers like Phenology Legal, there is a girl who takes excellent content. She just goes to the market, picks up the recent legal topic and creates good lectures on it. She herself approached us and she said, I want to come and see everything in your campus and then create a lead. So we opened our doors and we said, see, everything is very transparent, you can come and see. So I'm very happy that she came all the way from Raipur where she was a resident. We hosted her, she went and met every student and then she created a report. So I value that thing, that she came and she did that. We do not approach anyone as such, because we think we need serious students who would do their own research and then come to us. That was our strategy.
Well, even this is going as a podcast on our Dalimss Learning School's YouTube channel. So we host a podcast. We host around 3 to 4 podcasts a month, and this is going to be our 26th episode of our Dalimss podcast.
That's something which I learned. I searched on it, and many of the European universities are doing this. So prepare them to prepare better content. That's what we had.
Ma'am, the question I have for you is, if given the chance, would you want to become a social media influencer? If yes, then why? If no, then why not?
Very interesting question that you have.
That was the most out of box question that I could come up with.
See, don't take it as a kind of over assumption about myself.
Yes.
It's my confidence that I think that I am already a very potent influencer for my students. And it's not just to me, I think. Before we move to the influencers who are influencing through digital media or social media, the first influencers that we have around us are teachers, parents. If parents can influence children properly, and then if teachers can influence them properly, they will at least understand to differentiate between the right kind of influencers and the wrong kind of influencers. So I believe that we are fortunate as teachers to be in such a position that we interact with many minds, young minds every day in our classrooms. And over the period of our career, thousands of minds will get influenced by what we do in the classroom, how we deliver the content, and how we present ourselves as individuals, as personalities to them. I have learned because I am the fourth generation of teaching in my family. Maybe I am blessed with something of a kind in my genes as well. A teacher's task doesn't get over in the classroom. It continues to be outside the classroom as well. Wherever you go, whatever you do, in whatever manner you carry yourself, you conduct your life, you're always influencing your students. So if you talk about social media, as of now, I have never realized any need because I think almost every day, every batch, not less than 500 students every year that I'm getting to interact with them. On social media, if I start my channel, I'm not sure how many of them are going to be the subscribers. So more than
And your
that,
students are going to be your subscribers first.
I don't think, see, teaching is not just presenting a content. Obviously, social media and these influential teachers, they are definitely supplementing the kind of education that we are giving in the classroom. But I honestly believe that they cannot substitute a good teacher. See, when I am present in the class, I am silently interacting with the psyche of my students. And it's not just the content that we deliver, the very presence of a teacher in the classroom makes great sense. And discipline, you don't have to scold children, but we are dealing with university students. We don't have to scold them. We have to present ourselves in such a way in the classroom that they understand what is the right way of behavior and the discipline that they have to follow. So, that caption, an idea can change your minds. Very true, I firmly believe and I keep repeating. You never know what I'm teaching in the classroom beyond the content. I am a literature teacher. I teach literature, and literature has everything that the world and the society has in it. So there is a lot of scope for me to talk about values, ethics, art, aesthetics, good, right, wrong, justice, equality, everything that we get to talk about. So I don't think there is anything else that is needed beyond that. Yes, of course, in order to supplement my teaching, for example, during COVID period, when universities were bound to be shut, we had to continue teaching. And for the first time, we started learning how to create content for them and then preparing their videos and sharing with them. They are still there, they are following with the same students. They, after referring to the videos and the contents which I have floated on the website, they come to me and they say, "Can you explain it again?" So this human presence is very important. Obviously, technology has changed a lot of things and it has altered the very definition of education and it has also altered the very role of teacher and academic institutions. We cannot deny from the fact, but it can never substitute. I can prepare a very good PowerPoint. But once the power is gone, point will also be gone. So I need to have that point here at first so that I can present it powerfully. So PowerPoint can be an aid. All these are just an aid. They can supplement the original action, but they can never substitute. So as of now, I don't have any plan because I love to interact with my students. I love to be in the classroom physically. I want to see them smiling, sharing gestures, and responding to that. In future, if situation demands, I think that as a teacher, I can be more helpful to them. Then with the help of social media and content creator like influencer, then I will think about it. As of now, I don't have any plans.
Thank you, ma'am. So, lastly, Ms. Wahi,
Thank you, ma'am.
if you were made the CEO of Instagram for a day, what changes would you implement?
Coming from somebody who's using Instagram to sell their products, I think algorithm transparency is a must. It's very important to understand the functioning of the platform that you're using to promote or to do anything. I feel a lot of times, a lot of smaller brands are putting a lot of effort to promote their products, and their products are generally very nice. But because they don't know how the functioning of the whole media is working, they're not able to promote themselves. They're not able to reach where they were supposed to reach. The second thing which I would do is authenticity. So what are influencers doing is they are making their life completely available on the media. From the time they wake up to the time they sleep, everything is out there for you to know. So people who are genuinely promoting something which is like mental health, it's a very important aspect of the 21st century. We all are going through our own sets of problems and issues, but we don't have people to talk about it. And the influencers who are like, they're like a 1% of the audience who's actually coming out and talking about issues and how normal is it, the mental issues are how normal in today's world. Their content is not being promoted. Their content is not getting the reach that it is supposed to reach because it's going to make an impact. People need to understand that everybody, high and mighty, is undergoing their own issues. It's not all rosy and fancy. And the problem with Instagram is only people who are dancing it out, laughing, promoting fashion are getting it. People who are talking about genuine issues, people who are talking about the issues that society is facing altogether, be it women's safety, be it the education sector, be it frauds happening on the media. This is not being highlighted. So I feel if I get that power, I would give a chance to people who are genuinely talking about issues that need to be out there. And I feel the fact that we are not able to differentiate, you and I, we are of the generation that is on Instagram every day, and we can't even deny it. It's like an addiction. You have to literally stop yourself. I'm talking from a personal experience. I was writing an exam just now, and it was so hard for me to get away from my phone. It was literally a task. Coming from a generation who's old enough to know the rights and the wrongs, for me also it was very hard to keep that influence away and sit and study. So that education that okay, there should be a balance in life. You need the media for a lot of things, but you need to be away from the media for a lot of things. The family interaction that we are losing, you see everybody sitting on the dining table and nobody's talking to each other. Everybody's on their phone responding to people who are sitting far away and talking about things that are so superficial that do not make an impact. But as a family, you're not talking about your own issues. You're not talking about, oh, I had this issue at work, now please tell me or guide me, how do I get away with it? You're asking that to people who will not even care about it. You're texting your friend, oh, I had this issue at work, what do I do? They are least bothered about it. Your own parents who are sitting out there are the only people who are going to help you. But the media has abstained you from them. The media has distanced us from each other. We as a group of friends, everybody is sitting, there's a dinner at home, you will see maximum people on their phone. You are there in that space to be there for each other, to talk about each other. But what you do is, you talk about people, oh, did you see that influencer? Oh, she was wearing such a lovely outfit. Oh, we have to get it.
Yeah, my wife and her best friend, they do the same. And that
So I
happens to
think
you.
we need to get away from that. We need to learn to balance. It's very fancy, and if people will not use it, I feel I will also lose a lot because I have put a lot on the media. But then I would also genuinely promote the fact that there should be a balance. We need to understand that what is real and what is real. The line is very thin, and I think it's getting thinner by the day. But for us to understand that there is a line is, I think, a very essential part of our lives now. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for giving us your time. We had an amazing discussion today, and